Okay. This is the Historic Preservation Commission meeting for Tuesday, July 12th, 2022. Gonna have a call to order. Roll call.
Franken?
Here.
Miranda?
Here.
Powers?
Here.
Sage?
Here.
Lestages excused, and McGivern.
Here. And we have before us Secretary's report. I need a motion and a second to consider the meeting minutes.
I move that the secretary's report be entered.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Communications, staff?
Yep, I've got just a few for us. So the next Party in the Park event is the 21st at Duck Creek. So that's 5:30 to 7:30. I'll send out a reminder email to everyone. So hopefully if you can make it, even if just for a little bit, just let me know. So we'll have a table shared with special collections at the library. And then the Heart of Downtown Davenport walking tour, the June date got rained out, but they've rescheduled. So we still have 3, and that makeup date is still a Saturday, September 3rd, 10 to noon. So our next one is July 28th, 5 to 7. So everyone that signed up for the June meeting got notified, and they're now scheduled for the September 3rd. And then last slide, Alderperson McGinnis is going to be hosting a tax credit and historical properties information session at the main public library in September. And then the Gold Coast Hamburg Historic District is also going to have a home tour in September. So I will update you guys when we get closer to those dates.
All right, that'll take us to item number 4, old business. We have no old business, so it takes us to new business. Item A, case number COA 22-08, exterior alteration at 1234 East River Drive. The April Davison House is a locally listed historic landmark. Quad City Restorations petitioners on behalf of the Des Moines Restorations LLC. Staff?
Sure, so just a brief overview of the Abner Davison House. It was built in the late 1850s. The original structure was built in a Tuscan Italianate architectural style. It had a belvedere on top at one point, which has since been removed. And then in the early 1900s, there was a 2-story prairie style addition added to the west side of the building. Original construction was a brick. However, sometime before the 1982 survey was done, the entirety of the house was covered in a stucco finish. And that also includes the carriage house behind the main home. So just a few features that were highlighted in the inventory sheet were the main entrance porch with the fluted door columns and pilasters, the wide front door with side lights, and then the ornate Victorian gazebo, which you can see in that photo. So the Abner Davison House, the commission last saw this and approved a new slate roof on both the house and the carriage house. So that work has since been completed. And now the applicant is returning. So today's proposed scope of work is to resurface the stucco exterior of both the original home and the carriage house, and then to repair and resurface the front porch, and then restore the front railings. So here you can see just a few photos of the home in its current condition. So on the slide before you, these 2 photos of the east elevation and north elevation, you could see some of the deterioration of that stucco, which was placed over the original historic brick. So it's showing a lot of signs of deterioration, cracking, and areas of the building where it's actually peeling off. So here's a few more photos. You could see that the texture of the stucco is much more coarse. Yep, so here's a couple of photos of the carriage house on the left. You can see it cracking, kind of peeling off the wall. The one place where you can see some historic brick, it's actually underneath the porch, so that's what that photo is on the right, where the stucco is peeled back off that brick surface. Okay, so the applicant is proposing a limestone stucco finish, so that's the bottom right circled in orange. This is a smoother texture finish for stucco, and it will be in that medium gray in the center. The applicant isn't pursuing historic tax credits for this work. However, it could be noted that the state would likely, to grant tax credits, would want a finish more similar to that coarser texture that you see on the building currently. However, staff feel that because it's one stucco finish to another, that it meets our historic preservation ordinance. Here are some photos of the front porch. The applicant would be resurfacing in concrete areas where it's been cracked. Then you could see some of that metal railing work as well that would need refurbishing or in areas repair and maintenance. So staff is making a recommendation to approve the certificate of appropriateness. However, we are recommending tabling the restoration of the railings until further information is provided. It was thought that we might have a bid from a contractor by today's meeting date. That hasn't come in yet, so we'll tackle that issue at a separate meeting. So staff reviewed the project for conformance with our historic preservation ordinance, which meets the following criteria: that every reasonable effort shall be made to make the minimal number of changes necessary to maintain the property in a good state of repair, and that deteriorated architectural features should be repaired rather than replaced, and where severity of deterioration requires replacement, the new feature shall match the old in design, color, texture, and other visual qualities where possible.
Is that it? All right. Any questions from the commission? I see the petitioners are here. Is there anyone that would like to speak to the commission? If so, just come to the podium and Mike will pick you up from above.
Yes, sir. My name is Chris Rogers. I'm the owner of Des Moines Restorations, Quad City Restorations. Also owns 1234 East River Drive that we're talking about. I'm doing everything I possibly can to bring this property back to its original glory as much as possible. I'm sparing no expense. I'm doing everything I possibly can to make sure that that it's back to its old glory, and it's a passion of mine that I'm really feel strongly about. And I brought, if anybody needed to see it, I brought the texture that we're talking about. If y'all wanted to see it up close,
Please.
yes, sir. And we have Aaron Dale here. He's from Bi-State Masonry. They do a lot of the historical work around town. They're the project managers for that portion of it. And if y'all had any questions, he's available to answer if y'all need him. So it's the same color as what we have there now, and people have tried to, I guess, patch it over the years, the cracks and such, and they didn't do a very thorough, good job on it. Just the workmanship was subpar, and quite honestly, the last people that we actually bought it from, Gilda's Club, were strong supporters of their mission, and they're a nonprofit, so they had limited funds to be able to work with to try to get it back up to speed. So, and that's why they sold it to me, and I explained to them the things that I had planned, and they sold it to me before they showed it to anyone else. So I'm very appreciative, and I feel blessed that I have an opportunity to bring it back to, like I said, to its old glory.
Does the commission have any questions for the petitioner? Thank you, sir.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Any other commission or questions for staff from the commission? I need a recommendation.
I'll make a motion. I move to approve the certificate of appropriateness for the exterior alteration as submitted, and also to table the work on the railings until some more information can be supplied. And I want to thank the folks for their investment in this and helping to get it, the preservation done.
Thank you.
And I second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the appropriate certificate of appropriateness subject to staff recommendation. Roll call, please.
Miranda,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
and Franken.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Takes us to item number B, case number COA 22-09, request for exterior alteration at 511 Gain Street, Hamburg, local landmark historic district. Jonathan Pham, petitioner. Staff.
All right, so just an update on this property. So a year ago, the city's code enforcement department sent a letter to the property owner, citing them on different violations that were substandard for the dwelling. Since that time, this commission has approved the following items: the installation of a new asphalt shingle roof, which has been completed, the repair and waterproof of the chimney, which has taken place, and then the demolition of the improper rear addition behind the home, which is currently ongoing. And then the applicant has been working with the city to try to address some of those other remaining items on that notice. So this is unfortunate, but a couple weeks ago, we believe a car crashed into the utility pole outside the home, which then vibrated the adjacent utility wires, and that actually knocked the chimney above the roof line off. So you could see on the left that before photo, and then as it currently sits today. So here's a more zoomed in photo. For what it's worth, it doesn't appear that the brick of that chimney is original to the home. And then that photo on the right just shows that structure. It's still intact, but it is just laying there on the surface. So the homeowner reached out to Falcon Nest Chimney Sweeps, and they provided him with this scope of work. They would be removing the chimney, installing the roof pass-through, and install the double wall liner from the roof to the minimum height requirement, to install the up and down collar, and then to roof around the opening. So essentially it's a bid to remove the chimney and install new shingles. So staff are recommending denial of this request, and really that's because the removal or alteration of a historic feature on a property should be discouraged and avoided when possible.
Did you say it wasn't original to the building? Is that?
The brick.
The brick
So
was,
it-
oh, the actual brick.
The actual brick above the roof line does not appear to be original.
Okay.
And on that after photo, you can see the waterproofing of the chimney that was done below the roof line. That was approved, I think that was late last year.
I guess my question is, if we deny, I mean, they have to repair it. It just can't. I noticed it a couple weeks ago when I drove by. It can't be left. So are we impeding an emergency repair, or what's the ramifications of it?
So
Deny?
if the project is denied, the homeowner would have to come back to the commission with a bid to rebuild the chimney. Or they could appeal, I suppose, to city council.
But there is one more option if you guys want to pursue it. You could give staff level approval if the scope is to rebuild or repair it in its current state. If they want to do something else, then they could come to the commission. So you could grant staff that ability to administratively approve a rebuilding of the chimney if it's similar to the original one. So keep that in mind too. We are sensitive to the need that there's a hole in the roof right now. And our code basically says they can fix it to the point where it's no longer causing further damage, which basically means you tarp it. But if you grant administrative level approval of some sort, we can work with Jonathan to take care of that.
There's just so many underlying issues with this property that I'm not sure putting a condition on something that won't be possible is a concern. What says the commission? Any questions for staff? Probably the best way to go about it.
If we were to leave it to the staff, I assume that it would be followed up with and made sure that something's being done in a timely manner or getting resolved.
Yeah, we can do that, and if the timing works out where it would be at the Historic Preservation Commission and it wouldn't impact the timeline, then we would take it to you. Otherwise, we will move forward. We could move forward and update you on what was decided.
Anyone else from the commission? Any kind of recommendation? So staff, why don't you go ahead and give us the, Matt, give us the recommendation from staff again.
So the current recommendation is to deny the request.
So if we deny the request, then they have to come back within 30 days with a new plan. If we can give some kind of staff, administrative oversight for the next 30 days, given the complexities, it gives a little more flexibility.
I would say yes, and I would, my recommendation would be two different votes. One would be on the actual petition, and then you can do a separate one if you want to grant staff that administrative level of review and approval.
Christine, I see you're making notes there.
I'll be happy to make a motion.
Would you
if need
please?
one. Sure, absolutely. I move that we deny the petition as received, but I would like to go ahead and.
We'll do that one at a time.
Oh, okay.
Is that how we do it, one at a time?
Yes, one at a time.
Okay, so I have a motion to deny the petition. I need a second or it will die out.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to deny the recommendation before us. Roll call, please.
Sage,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Franken,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Christine?
I'd like to go ahead and make another motion then to grant administrative level review of this project
For the next 30 days.
for the next 30 days.
A second.
I have a motion and a second to grant administrative review for the next 30 days on this property to assist the homeowner in coming up with this reasonable solution. And I have a second from Diane. Roll call, please.
McGivern,
Yes.
Franken,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Sage.
Yes.
Thank you. Is there any other new business, Matt?
That is all for new business. I do have an item under other business, though.
Okay, so let's go to other business.
Okay, so at last month's meeting, we reviewed really just the timeline of when Davenport's historic districts were recently resurveyed. And staff was asked to do a little bit of research on the most recent one that was conducted by the city. So that was the 2017 redistricting of the Hamburg Historic District. So when that project was undertaken, a consultant was hired. Their fee was $25,200. There were some additional expenses of close to $700, so bringing you close to $26,000 in total. There were staff hours involved in that project over the course of 2 years that totaled 606 hours of staff time. And the Hamburg district had approximately about 312 buildings surveyed.
And the purpose of obtaining this information is as we've crafted the commission goals and directions for the next year. It's going to be required, if the council would like us to continue with this direction, with historic preservation, for some kind of funding and direction, for support from staff and for other like uses. And we're running out of time. So what I'd like to be able to do is create a small ad hoc committee. And what I understand from staff, we can meet, we can conform to open meeting laws with a task force of 3. That's how I understand it?
Correct. So no more than 3.
No more than 3. And so what I'd like to do is I would like to have a task force of myself, and Christine, and Diane as vice chair, to kind of draft something, put something together with the assistance of staff so we can bring to the full commission, hopefully before the next commission meeting. Because I know we are running under the calendar somewhat, and I've had members of the council ask us where we're at. So we need to kind of move on this. Are there any questions from the commission?
I guess it is a question. I see the expense, but that was in what year was 2017? And Hamburg is probably our largest district.
It's one of the larger ones, yes.
So
So
it's-
I think that's why we included how many buildings there were. It might be scalable. I would imagine that expenses have gone up since then. So really some things for the task force to think about is maybe we could probably, because if you're resurveying, you're probably going in areas where there's been changes, right? So we could look up demolition information to give you some guidance. We can probably look up some level of building permits to see what kind of changes might have happened in certain districts. If you tell us which ones that you'd like to know, or so we can give you some tools to help narrow out what you want to do.
And would you also be able to tell us which have done the most changes? I mean, some we're all familiar with, but.
That would be how we would.
Okay.
There's some work that doesn't require building permits, and that doesn't necessarily mean people didn't do work without building permits. But based off the information the city have, we'd probably be able to make some level of map or give you an idea in and around some of the historic districts, what kind of changes have occurred. If you give us a time frame to look at, or if there's a specific area that you're interested, we can kind of help you focus it down.
That would be helpful.
Okay. All right. So without any kind of objection, we'll create that task force and try to get something back in the next 30 days. Try to keep our objectives moving forward. Is there any other business from staff?
None at this time, no.
Okay, this brings us to an open forum for public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to communicate with the commission? Please.
Hi, my name is Jan Stouffer. I'm the Director of Operations and Administration for the Better Work Center in Deer Wyman House in Moline, Illinois. And I'm here to invite you to participate in our porch party, which is coming up on Sunday, September 18th from noon to 5. I would like to have a panel discussion with representatives from the Rock Island Historic Preservation Commission, Moline Preservation Commission, and the Davenport Preservation Commission to answer questions and educate our visitors about how property owners work with preservation commissions in our communities. So if somebody from your commission, how many times can I say that word? If somebody from your commission or city staff would like to be a part of that, please let me know. And again, I am Jan Stouffer, and I'm with the Butterworth Center in Deer Wyman House.
Jan, we thank you very much for coming down, and we would love to, and we will get your contact information before we leave tonight.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you much. Is there anyone else from the public that would have comment? Seeing none, I am looking for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
And a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you. Christine?
Unless you have Jan. So Jan, is Martha